Welcome to the Progress Texas Happy Hour.
Okay, everybody, welcome back to the Progress Texas Happy Hour as we continue through our, what a list of candidates we have this year. As you may know, this is the first year, I think, ever that either of the parties, Democrat or Republican in Texas, have run candidates in every single race. And so we have a lot of folks to talk to. And we've come up to Claire Reynolds after a long wait. And we're so glad to have Claire. She is running in District 11, the incumbent August Pfluger. This is one of those districts that is very much designed for Republican advantage. It stretches far across the wide reaches of Texas to group together areas that, frankly, at first glance anyway, might not have a whole lot in common and thus are going to be difficult to unify potentially. District 11 reaches from the oil patch all the way through San Angelo and its nearby communities of places like Ballinger and Brady and Llano before needling through the Texas Hill Country into North Austin and southern Williamson County. If you live in Pflugerville, you might be surprised to learn that you will be sharing congressional representation with the folks who live in Midland, Odessa. This is how we live in Texas. But relevant and meaningful representation is secondary to power, as we know, under the Trump administration and under Governor Abbott. So here we are with yet another Democrat who is rising to the challenge and taking on an uphill battle to fight back. I've known Claire Reynolds for a long time, kicking around the Austin political scene. She's been an attorney in Texas since 2007. And I really love her love letter to Texas that you'll find on her website. But I'm going to let her tell that story. Congressional District 11 Democratic nominee Claire Reynolds. Claire, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Chris. It's great to be here.
It's great to have you. So let's have that love letter. I love the way you put it on your website. And I think sometimes Texans get hung up on being an actual native Texan, but I've also observed that it frequently takes somebody coming here from elsewhere, an inferior place, of course, to observe that that we have really great things going on in Texas. Sometimes it takes an outside view to really appreciate what makes Texas special. Tell us about your relationship with the Lone Star State and how that's evolved over about the, roughly 20 years that you've been here now.
Sure. When I first moved here, I moved to Austin and I had little babies, so I didn't really get out much. And I really only knew Austin. So I thought, I'm in the safe, liberal area of Texas.
Bubble. Yeah.
Right. The bubble. Don't stray too far. But, as my kids have gotten older, I started traveling all over the place. We've got a little place out near Big Bend that I would live in permanently if I could. Yeah. And I just love it. I mean, I've lived here longer than I've lived anywhere else. So this is my home now. Yeah. I've already, even in the primary, I had some people throwing around that, well, you're not from here. You don't know how to represent us. And I was like, there's a lot of people in this district that are not, quote unquote, from here.
Yeah. There's in Texas, we all know this. It's not just Austin. It's not just the metros. It's the entire state attracts people from all over the country, if not all over the world. I would say we are a nation of immigrants around here in a big, big way. And so, again, that outside perspective is very, very valuable, especially when we're trying to make things better in Texas, which, of course, is what this is all about. So, once again, District 11, one of those wildly gerrymandered districts. It's designed to absorb urban Democratic voting power into a gigantic chunk of very rural and very red Texas. I would think, again, that people living in North Austin or Pflugerville might have some things in common with people maybe in Midland, Odessa, or maybe even San Angelo. But Claire, how does a candidate resonate with both a person living in the northern suburbs of Austin, which is now the 11th or 12th largest city in the U.S., depending on who you ask about that, and someone who's living and working out in the farming and ranching areas out in the wide ranges of this district?
When I entered this race, I really did not know what to expect. I entered it because my opponent, August Pfluger, has had no opponent for the last two elections. And I thought, well, I'm in this district. I'm not going to let that happen again.
Sure.
And so, I've been meeting people all across West Texas, and I have met super amazing people who are very excited to have a choice finally.
Mm-hmm.
I've met people who don't necessarily agree with all of my politics, but they really are unhappy with the current representation's inability to stand up against Donald Trump. So a lot of moderates and independents who would prefer to see the Constitution being followed.
Sure.
Yeah, and that's something that I don't think I was expecting to see that. I mean, the conventional wisdom is always like, we'll focus only on affordability and this and that because, the general populace doesn't care about these big issues. And that has proven to be untrue. People are very, very concerned about, they're concerned about affordability, don't get me wrong, but they're very, very concerned about what is going on in Washington.
Are there particular areas of that have resonated in particular outside of, affordability, of course, has been the we've all had it beat into our heads that, and I think it's true that that's what ultimately we all have in common is just getting by and paying for our lives. Obviously we all have that in common. But what are some of these other issue areas that you find resonating out in District 11?
Politics makes strange bedfellows in that I went to go see, I had never met August Pfluger or heard him speak live. So I went to one of his town halls in Ballinger, Texas. Mm-hmm. And it was, I was very surprised. I thought, this is going to be a totally friendly thing. And it ended up being he got some tough questions. And it was a lot of the Second Amendment guys, as I kind of call them, in the crowd, who I ended up speaking with afterwards. It was right after Alex Preddy had been killed. And, one of Pfluger's things was, well, he shouldn't have had a gun at a protest.
Right.
And
right.
Yeah. And they were asking him, well, you're supposed to be this big Second Amendment protector. He's allowed to have a gun at a protest. And then, Pfluger was like, well, he shouldn't have been brandishing it.
He didn't.
And that's when it kind of went off the rails. People were like, we saw it from multiple angles. He wasn't.
Yeah, and I can imagine that. God, I wish I could have been in there.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So people are very concerned about that. There's a lot of, shocking. There's a lot of actually LGBTQ plus people living in West Texas.
Oh, yeah.
And
everywhere.
They feel terrified. And so that's something that, them and the people that love them are very interested in, being able to just live their lives without being dehumanized. But really the biggest issue in common is, treatment of immigrants, for sure. Everybody knows somebody who's been detained or disappeared, and people have had it.
Well, so the Latino vote and Latino political tendencies have been very central to the discussion, over the course of this entire election experience. I don't have the demographics of this district in front of me, Claire, but speak to that as far as the Latino folks that you've met out there. And when I say out there, it's Pflugerville is part of this district.
Oh yeah.
So for me here in Austin, it's not really out there anyway. Talk about that if you would. Of course, the Hispanic vote, very, very central to the way this is all going to play out in November.
Yeah, there's a lot of them. I don't know the exact number offhand, but it's somewhere approaching 50%, I think. Mm-hmm. And that is definitely going to be one of my challenges, because I want to reach out to that community, but in an authentic way. I don't want it to be transactional. Like,
sure.
Hey, come vote for me. Because I actually care about what's happening to them, and they've been burned by both sides.
Absolutely.
So, it's really important to me that I hear from them and get them involved in their government, not just by voting, but by running for office. That's the only way you can make sure that your voice is truly represented.
We, when we talk about the Hispanic vote, you can't talk about them as a unified bloc because they're not. They're highly diverse amongst themselves. But the immigration issue, of course, comes very close to the top. Can you speak to August Pfluger and the way he has approached? We talked about the way he has approached the Second Amendment, which is not with a whole lot of grace. Talk about his ICE policy and how he sees the immigration issue, the crackdown, the mass deportations. What would you say to those voters about August Pfluger?
I would say that he is completely unwilling to publicly, at least, contemplate the idea that not every illegal immigrant is a criminal that needs to be sent to a concentration camp. He's had zero to say about the tactics being used, zero to say about the fact that American citizens and legal residents are being caught up in this. So he will just parrot Trump talking points, and that's all. Democrats just want to protect illegal immigrants and keep criminals on the streets. For what reason, I don't know, but so I guess so they can all vote for us is his.
It's strange. Those talking points are, to anybody who's really, observing this carefully, those talking points are really wearing thin at this point, but they're still just leaning way into them. It's almost like they've run out of cards to play at this point.
Yeah. Read the room.
Yeah.
The complete inability is shocking.
Well, that's it could possibly work to your advantage in this particular situation. So another big part of this district is the oil patch out around Midland, Odessa. Let's talk about that also through the lens of August Pfluger and his energy policy. Very much a yes man for the petrochemical sector, which of course to some folks makes him popular out there. That's their bread and butter out there. And so if he's going to just sign off on whatever they want to do, you can see where that might be popular in that particular part of the state, but maybe less so for folks in the urban areas or maybe even rural conservationists who understand that a completely unfettered petrochemical industry is not going to be good for the environment of Texas. Talk about that and what your strategy might be or what your thoughts might be on how to build that bridge, between folks who value the industry and the jobs and the income that comes from all of that. But also an understanding that there have to be some degree, there's got to be some degree of control and regulation on that if we're going to, not completely despoil our environment.
Yeah. One of the main points that I am always trying to get across to people is that I will not do anything that hurts jobs, that takes away jobs from people in the district, because if you can't put food on the table or pay your rent, you can't think about anything else.
Anything, yeah.
Yeah, that's number one. So, I fully expect that to be a talking point of the other side of that. If I'm elected, then everyone will lose their jobs and go hungry. That's simply not true. But my constituents are the workers, not, the oil company owners. So that's what I want to be looking out for. And I think that they actually are starting to have a lot of concerns about water shortages and, gross water that's like non-potable water that's popping up all over the place.
Right.
And also oil field safety. It's really hard to find data on the number of people injured in oil field accidents and the outcomes of those. And that's something that really concerns me a lot.
When oil comes up, frequently the TV show Landman comes up. And, although I've said it before to actually quite a bit of pushback, that Landman, generally speaking, is very much a MAGA show. It's a MAGA view of the world, shall we say. But what that show has done is portray the hazardous nature of working in the oil industry. And, there are lots of, really dramatic accidents that happen on a regular basis on that show. And so I would think that folks working in that industry probably appreciate that there's been a little bit of pop culture light been shed on the dangerous lives that they lead when you work in the oil patch. It's not safe at all. And so, yeah, I think that message might resonate that you're not about getting rid of the jobs. You're about making sure that the jobs are good jobs and safe jobs. And I think that's a great message for sure.
Exactly.
So, Claire, it's been great talking to you. There are wide parts of this district that, let's just be frank, are going to see you as a big city liberal lawyer. And you're up against a long-time, steady, old-school conservative incumbent. So what's the message that you think will get through to those folks to encourage them to consider making a change for Claire Reynolds?
So I am not going to shy away from who I am. People are not stupid. They can figure out, oh, this is a lady. Not only is she, from Austin, but she's not even from Austin. She's from Illinois and went to law school in California. I mean, I'm like,
wow.
Yeah,
that's
just making it easy. Right. But, I don't know. I think I'm kind of different than what most, I don't think I can easily be pigeonholed. I will all too easily swear and say things that certainly the Democratic establishment is not happy with. Um, I see myself as more of a populist,
Okay.
and like I'm not here. Like, I really want progressive policies in place because I believe that they help working people. But I didn't run until I was put in this position of, number one, seeing my government crumble around me, and number two, being put into this district. And, so I didn't come in with some kind of like massive, secret goal to I just want to like stop Trump from, there are a lot of other things I want to do too, but that's my number one goal. So if people are interested in that, and I think a lot of people are, then they might want to consider me. I think I'm a lovely person. So
I happen to agree with that. And something that I've learned about you that I didn't know before we had this conversation was that you're also one of them desert dweller type people. That you have your place out near Big Bend National Park. That's of course heavy conservation minded sort of folks out there.
Yeah.
And of course I think we've I hate to even call it a near miss. I hear there's been some backing off of the idea of building a border wall through the Big Bend National Park, but I wouldn't say that idea is completely dead until we're out from underneath the auspices of Trump 2.0. Talk about that part of the state for just a moment. It's not technically in your district, but I kind of think if you're talking about bridging the gap between rural and urban, the folks I've met who, hang out in Terlingua during the day are frequently former big city people who have chosen the desert life out there, because of the solitude and because of the beauty and because of, all the mystical, magical things that happen out in that part of the state. Talk about Far West Texas and how that informs who you are.
Sure. When I first started, looking around, I mean, I've been going out to Big Bend for a long time. And then my husband and I saw this place that we rented pop up for sale.
Oh, wow.
And when we talked to, the real estate agent, she told us that Brewster County is, according to the sheriff out there, it's the place for the wanted and the unwanted.
Ah,
and
interesting.
And yes, and the sheriff's whole policy was don't make me come looking for you. And so
wow.
And so I loved that. So we've tried to become part of the community out there, even though we're not there all the time.
Yeah.
I volunteer at the chili cook-off, of which there are two.
Yep.
Yeah, the whole mythology there is crazy, and I love it. So we've met a lot of people who are from the big city that moved out there. We've met a lot of people who are from there. So you get politics all up and down, the aisle, but mostly it's just people who really love solitude and big open skies. Anybody can relate to that. And there's one story that I heard recently where I guess there was a geologist who was out there in Terlingua, and he let it slip. I guess he was at a Starlight Theater and let it slip that he was there working on behalf of the federal government to check out where a wall could go.
Wow.
And he was basically run out of town. People were like, no, get out.
Yeah. Wow. I can't imagine. Jeez.
Yeah. And I thought that was wonderful. That's something that is uniting everybody along the political spectrum out there in Brewster County.
I imagine so. And so, yeah, so that's the love for the earth and the love for the environment that kind of goes beyond money. It's not about money. It's not about industry or commercial or capitalism. It's about just, loving your planet and loving the place where you live. And so it's beautiful people. They're like you say, a wide variety of characters out there. It is a total character. It's like walking through a movie out there.
Yeah.
But generally terrific people who love where they live. And that's the most enduring thing to me about that part of the state for sure. Dear listener, if you haven't been to the Starlight in Terlingua and sat on that porch and had a cold beer, checking out the mountains in the distance, and that is just an absolute piece of magic that you absolutely got to go and check out. But Claire, we digress. Best of luck in your run. As we close down, we like to close these with the elevator pitch. You have met an undecided and independent voter out in your district somewhere. They're trying to figure out who to vote for. Give us 2 minutes on why they need to vote for Claire.
Vote for me because, am I allowed to swear on here?
Yes. Yes, you
because,
are.
Because I give a shit about the actual people that live in the district and not just the donors. You might not agree with all of my policies, but you can be assured that I'm going to listen to you and find out what it is that you need in order to live your life to the best. That's what I think that our elected representatives should be there for. It's a public service, not a way to get rich. And so often that's what it's seen as, as a way to build power and wealth. I'm not running because I want power or wealth. I'm running because I'm tired of what I'm seeing, and I think that this government is the current administration is actively harming everyday citizens. I might seem like I'm different, but maybe you need a little different in your life.
There you go. Claire, what's your website and all that stuff? How do we find you online?
Sure. You can find me at claire11.org. And pretty much any spelling of Claire will do, but my name is spelled Claire. And I have, you can get on there and find my policies. You can donate to my campaign if you want. Mine is all small money donors. So
very, very good. Claire Reynolds running for District 11, goes all the way from Midland, Odessa, all the way over to Pflugerville. So that's a whole bunch of folks out there. And Claire, good luck and be safe as you're out there working the trail.
Thank you.
So glad we got to do this. Our mission at Progress Texas is to improve and save Texans' lives by acting on our shared, bold, progressive values, and that starts with countering the billionaire and corporate-funded conservative disinformation machine. Progress Texas is an independent, nonprofit, rapid response media organization. While campaigns come and go, we're the permanent home for progressive media and action in the Lone Star State. I'm Chris Mosier. Thanks so much for listening, and we will see you again next time.